Good evening. Residents of Cold Lake and the MD of Bonnyville were invited to an annexation open house last night by the City of Cold Lake. People were given the opportunity to ask questions and get a clear-cut vision of how the whole annexation process works. Now, the city put forth a proposal in December to annex parts of the MD surrounding Cold Lake.
It's expected to take around a year before everything is solid if the MD has no problems with it. The Chief Administrative Officer with the city says they have had a lot of questions about the process.
So how does my municipal taxes work, and how does that impact in the future once the annexation is over or succeeds or doesn't? How does the services apply to me? Like, what services does the MD of Bonnyville provide to me, and what does the services that the City of Cold Lake provide me after the annexation?
Most of the answers cannot be given as of yet, but the Ward 6 councillor in the MD says they will be there the whole way if anyone living there has any concerns.
We as the MD are neutral. However, should some landowners feel that they're getting stuck or not coming out anywhere near what they thought they were, we're there to assist them to try to get it ironed out.
Councillor Fred Bamber adds that the fact the city is putting all their cards on the table certainly helps things.
It cuts out the fear-mongering, and because if people don't know, that's when the anxiety level blows up, and they're very unhappy when they finally get you. My God, you finally come over here, they're in a bad mood. This here is really straightforward. It tells them.
The next step will be a public hearing with a municipal government board if needed, recommendations to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and a provincial cabinet decision. In Cold Lake, Fraser Snowden, Newcap News.
Well, it was all glitz and glamour at the Vic Juba last night as some in the border city were treated to a special performance by the Atlantic Ballet Theatre of Canada. But the message behind the performance, Ghosts of Violence, was a dark one. As Bart Pediasic reports, all proceeds raised went to support the Lloydminster Interval Home Society.
Ballet in the border city in a way you've never seen before. Ghost of Violence tells a story of women who go through family violence and the impact it leaves on their lives.
Dance, we are trying to show to people how domestic violence can affect them, and there's always interactive things before the show to show to people what is the help that is offered to them.
The New Brunswick company was brought to the border city by the Interval Home Society as a way to raise awareness of the issues.
It's an excellent medium to speak to people. The art and the emotion that can bring to the table, I think, will be an excellent catalyst for people to be inspired and to become passionate about helping stop family violence.
And Rook Trotzek says it was more than just about the message. All proceeds raised goes to their second stage facility, Dolmar Manor.
That actually is a longer-term shelter for women and children where they can stay in their independent units and they can still receive support on their way to kind of living independently.
The ballet company is still planning on making stops in Ontario and Quebec before their season ends. But for dancer Stephanie O'Day, it's performances in places like Lloydminster that are extra special.
It's really nice to have the chance to offer the performance of ballet to people that doesn't necessarily are exposed really often to those type of performances. So it's a different way to reach people.
Bart Pediasic, Newcap News.
And at the end of the night, the Interval Home raised about $15,000 for Dolmar Manor. The age-old debate of the effectiveness of antibacterial soap over regular soap is coming to light again after the U.S. Food and Drug Administration weighed in on the issue. Now, in this week's Healthy Living, Anna Stanislaw takes a look at antibacterial soap and why its chemical ingredients may not help prevent the spread of germs.
I actually think the soap and water is more effective than these antibacterial things. I just feel like at the end of the day, I always feel cleaner after I've washed my hands.
For Tegan Winkfield, labels with antibacterial and kills germs has never popped out to her. And now there are studies that triclosan, the common chemical ingredient in antibacterial soaps, may cause health risks, interfering with hormone levels and cause bacteria to be resistant to antibiotics. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, there is no evidence that triclosan helps reduce or suppress the growth of bacteria.
As of December 2013, the FDA will require manufacturers to prove that antibacterial soaps and body washes are more effective than just plain soap and water.
Health Canada says that the level that people are exposed to in Canada hasn't shown to have any harmful effects, hasn't shown to cause any problems. It also hasn't been shown to help things yet.
Health Canada hasn't followed the FDA's lead, but this pharmacist believes plain soap and water should be first in line.
If perhaps you were in a situation where you had somebody that had immune system issues, was immunocompromised, or in cases where sterilization was more important, for example, there would be cases where something like triclosan would be of benefit.
Dr. Raf Saeed agrees. If you're concerned with triclosan, using regular soap will do the job. He also says to always check product labels.
I think good old-fashioned soap and water, scrubbing your hands for 30 seconds is just as good, if not better, than the antibacterial soaps and gels.
Anna Stanislaw, Newcap News.
A Vermilion man has a bit more spending money these days after hitting it big in the lottery. David Bardell won more than $100,000 from his 2-draw ticket with 4 extra number he bought at his local Value Drug Mart. Bardell says he plans to put the winnings in the bank and maybe take a family vacation to somewhere warm. Turn our attention to Ag News now. Country of origin labeling continues to be a thorn in the side of Saskatchewan cattle producers, and with the new American Farm Bill passed by Senate, it's not going away anytime soon. Kyle Galver has more in this week's Ag Report.
Since 2008, it's estimated country of origin labeling, a mandate that forces American companies to label foreign meat differently than their own, has cost the Canadian cattle industry $1 billion a year. It's also cut Canada's meat exports to the U.S. in half over the last 5 years.
There is still some bids out of the U.S., but they discount the Canadian cattle because of that expense of segregating those animals, and then that, transfers back to a lower bid in Saskatchewan.
On Tuesday night, the U.S. Senate passed a farm bill that includes a provision on cool, and Barack Obama is expected to sign off on the bill this week, making the legislation official. In the past, the Canadian government has made it clear it would retaliate against any cool bill if it was passed.
Each day represent lost sale opportunities for our hardworking livestock producers and our processors on both sides of the 49th. Let me be perfectly clear. Our government will continue to stand with the livestock industry, and we will not rest until this job is done.
Saskatchewan Premier Brad Wall says the provincial government is doing what it can to mitigate the loss for producers.
I think our message has to be to our American friends. They're our #1 trading partner. They always will be. But if they persist in these, what we think are unfair trade initiatives, we're going to continue to diversify our markets. We're going to look to other places like Asia that are growing and that are interested in what we have to offer.
Reports say Canada is already expanding and that Taiwan has formally agreed to accept imports of bone-in beef and other beef products from Canadian cattle under 30 months of age. The agreement is set to take effect 30 days after its signing on Monday. Kyle Gallagher, Newcap News.